Imagine this. You wake up in the morning and open your eyes, your hand reflexively reaches for your phone, you open the news, and 3 headlines hit you at once. The U.S. President will deliver an emergency national address at 3 a.m. The dollar lost 40% overnight. Banks closed until further notice. This isn't science fiction. It's like a brief pause, as short as a throat-clearing sound, a scenario that some experts call extreme but not impossible, and today we're going to live through it together minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day. But before we start, do this. If you're watching topics like this not just to be scared, but to truly understand the system, subscribe to the channel, because what we do here isn't conspiracy, it's mechanics. Now we're going down to hour 0, 3 a.m. Eastern Time. Somewhere, a spark strikes, there could be many triggers. China announces it's putting $1 trillion worth of U.S. treasuries up for sale. Saudi Arabia drops the dollar in oil sales and moves the yuan to the forefront. The Fed announces it will print new trillions to stabilize the markets. Or a giant bank suddenly can't plug a hole in its balance sheet. The detail changes, the outcome stays the same. Trust, the core fuel of the dollar, cracks all at once. The news hits the professionals first, floods into terminals. Asia is still open. Trading screens in Tokyo turn red. Dollar-denominated assets start getting dumped fast. The DXY plunges sharply within minutes. Something that normally twitches over a full day moves like a collapse in half an hour. Flight assets like gold and Bitcoin jump. Nobody wants to stay in dollars. People aren't thinking, what should I shelter in? They're thinking, just get me out of dollars. From hour 1 to hour 3, Europe wakes up. Chaos on London, Frankfurt, Zurich screens. Banks carrying trillions in assets post losses. Someone suspends trading. Some banks set limits on dollar withdrawals. Panic even spills into the euro because nobody knows who's next. U.S. futures collapse. Circuit breakers trip in the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. But circuit breakers don't cut fear. They only store it up. From hour 4 to hour 8, America wakes up, 7 to 11 o'clock. The East Coast picks up the phone and faces freeze. The president appears on screen. Stay calm, we're in control, banks will open at normal hours. But those words mean nothing because the panic has already begun. Long lines at ATMs, shoving at branches. Because the banking system rests on the naked truth called fractional reserve. The bank does not have all deposits in its vault, only a small fraction. If enough people demand cash at the same time, the bank collapses in practice, even if it's sound on paper. Toward morning, ATMs run empty. Banks cap daily withdrawals at $500, shouting grows at branch doors, fights break out. From hour 9 to hour 12, the New York Stock Exchange opens, or tries to. In the first minute, indexes drop hard, automatic halts kick in, it reopens, drops again, halts again. Toward noon, the session is closed with the excuse of technical issues. That's a lie. It's an attempt to build a panic dam. But when you build a dam, the water rises faster. Now nobody can sell assets, money feels frozen, panic doubles. From hour 13 to hour 18, banking breakdown. The Fed holds an emergency meeting, announces a sudden sharp rate hike, says it has opened trillions in emergency liquidity for banks, calls for calm. But while high rates defend the dollar, they suffocate the economy. Companies with debt, families with mortgages become breathless overnight. By that evening, when a few major regional banks declare failure, the government declares a bank holiday. Banks closed indefinitely. ATMs don't work. Access to accounts is restricted. That terrifying gap appears between your money existing and your ability to take it. From hour 19 to hour 24. Real life on the street. Even if grocery stores aren't looted, they get stormed. Everyone empties the shelves. Food, water, batteries, generators, medicine. Cards work in some places. In others, cash-only signs appear. But there is no cash because banks are closed. People try to pay with dollars for goods. The other side refuses. The currency is losing value in front of their eyes. Gas jumps multiple times above a few days ago pricing. Bread suddenly becomes a luxury. The first face of hyperinflation appears. By the end of day one, the dollar feels 40 to 50% melted away. Markets closed, banks closed, shelves emptying, panic in the streets, talk of curfews in big cities. The first night. America doesn't sleep, the world doesn't sleep. Everyone stays glued to the screen, and the question, what happens next, sits on your chest like a stone. Day 2. The state declares emergency, capital controls arrive, taking more than a certain amount of money out of the country is banned, but it's late. Big money fled yesterday. Officials say banks are closed for 3 days, but nobody believes it. Anyone who remembers Cyprus 2013 and Greece 2015 knows days can turn into weeks. The Fed now prints new trillions to stabilize, pouring gasoline on the fire. Every new trillion signals the dollar will be diluted even more. International backlash becomes inevitable. China says, no trade in dollars, says yuan, euro, or gold. Saudi Arabia moves similarly. The language of oil contracts begins to change. Europe restricts dollar transactions. Reserve currency status cracks. 80 years of accumulation dissolves in 48 hours. Day 3. Social breakdown. Stores close not only because they have no goods, but because they can't set prices. An etiquette you write in the morning won't cover double by evening. Barter begins. Batteries for bread, fuel for milk. The dollar feels like a paper nobody wants. Gas stations close. Companies say, no sales in dollars. Without fuel, logistics stop. Without trucks, food flow into cities breaks. Shortages begin. Looting spreads, police can't keep up. In some places martial law, National Guard patrols, neighborhood defense group. Days 4 or 5. The feeling that the state is losing control. Banks partially reopen but limits are ruthless. $200 per person per week. Miles-long lines, pushing, people crushed to death. Retirees panic because money exists in the account but can't be withdrawn. Businesses go bankrupt one after another, payroll fails, people stop going to work. If you'll pay me in money that's melting, why should I work? Unemployment explodes in a week. The internet becomes a rumor factory. Half lies, half fear spreading faster than truth. They'll confiscate gold, banks will never open, borders will close. As social media fills with fights, looting, and empty shelf videos, panic multiplies. Days 6, 7. A new reality. People begin to adapt. A black market emerges. The dollar returns with a huge discount. $100 feels like $30 worth of purchasing power. Those with physical goods, food, fuel, tools, seeds, generators, suddenly become powerful. Barter networks form. The farmer trades eggs for fuel, the craftsman fixes things for a sack of rice. In some places silver and jewelry become money. Where internet exists, crypto gets used. Migration begins. The smart flee cities to the countryside, because if there's no money, power is failing, and no food supply, the city becomes a trap. Highways clog, fuel runs out, cars are abandoned, people walk with backpacks. By the end of a week, global consequences become clear. The U.S. imported trillions annually. If the dollar is no longer accepted, imports stop. Electronics produce, energy flows break. The rest of the world also takes damage because central banks' dollar reserves have melted. But others still have their own currencies. America has a dying dollar in its hands. A month passes. The U.S. is unrecognizable. Weeks 2-3. Attempts to manage chaos begin. The state announces harsh measures, declares a new dollar, says 100 old dollars equals one new dollar, redenomination. The goal is to reset expectations, but nobody believes it. Same system, same people. Price controls arrive. Bread max this, gas max that. Economics 101. Price ceilings create shortages. Goods flow to the black market, where the price rises 10x. Then the most dangerous sentence arrives. Mandatory gold surrender. Like the 1933 example. You will give it to the state at a fixed price, with prison threats for non-compliance. People don't comply. Gold gets hidden, buried, smuggled. Ordinary people are pushed into the criminal class overnight. Society splits into classes. The new rich are those holding gold, silver, crypto, farmers because food is power, owners of generators and solar panels, people with skills like doctors, mechanics, repairmen. The old middle class's savings have evaporated, retirement is gone, mortgaged homes are foreclosed. Yet banks themselves are wounded too. Week 4. State or public tension. Protests in Washington, New York, Los Angeles. Some peaceful, some riot. The state responds with force, curfews harden. Separatist talk rises in some states, especially places like Texas. We have energy and production, why stay tied to Washington? The scent of political fragmentation appears. The international picture. The world splits into blocks. The BRICS axis tries to build its own trade order. Gold and local currencies / alternative payment systems rise. Europe raises its own control walls. Latin America gets tossed harder by the hit to dollar reserve. U.S. allies wobble asking, is there still protection? And regional tensions rise. 1 month for the ordinary person. The health system falters, hospitals demand cash up front. Some demand gold, silver, services. Chronic patients who can't find medicine die. Food rationing arrives. It keeps you alive but doesn't let you live. The black market grows. Crime spikes. Police are exhausted and unmotivated because their salary has no value. People turn to self-defense. Families fracture under stress, poverty, or violence. Collective psychology shifts in waves. First week shock, second week panic, third week rage, fourth week despair. Suicide rises, the question, why live, spreads. But not everyone collapses. Some adapt, build new communities, and the goal becomes survive again. So what then? Experts list a few outcomes. Slow recovery over 10 to 20 years and the U.S. no longer being a superpower, fragmentation into new mini-states, authoritarian hardening amid chaos, dependency on foreign aid. The conclusion: this isn't just an economic disaster, It's the end of the world you knew. First 24 hours, bank runs and panic. First week, social order breaks. First month, a new ruthless reality. Could it have been prevented? Yes, responsible fiscal policy, debt control, strong production. But decades of debt expansion and monetary expansion grew the fragility. The real question isn't can it happen, but when, and it could be 1 year or 10. What should you do? Diversify. Don't put everything in one basket. Gold, silver, different currencies, alternatives like Bitcoin, but more important than all of that, skill. In a crisis, it's not money but skill that holds purchasing power. A 3 to 6 month plan for basic food or water, simple energy solutions, medical preparedness. If that sounds like paranoia, ask those who lived Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Weimar Germany. Because this story isn't to sell fear, but to show how the system breaks. Now I'm asking you, in a scenario like this, what's your plan? Write it in the comments. Which risk worries you most? Which preparation seems most sensible? If you liked the video, hit like and subscribe, because there are other videos here that talk about money, power, system dynamics in the same way. Take a look when you're done, and let's handle the next one together.